Yeah, no, thank you for that. One thing I realized, because I remember thinking for a long time, this isn't fair. And something about me that a lot of people don't know is I fight for what I believe in very, very hard, relentlessly, some would say. So for me, I've decided that, my talent is storytelling. That is what I believe I was put on this earth to do, is to share the stories of others. And I have decided that maybe the best way that I can support other moms and other parents is to lift their voices and to make them heard, like share their stories by sharing my own. And what am doing right now is I'm working on a documentary. It is right now untitled, but I do have a working title in mind. So what I would like you to do is, my email is right on my website, emmalynreid.com. You can go on and send me your story. I want to hear it. Maybe you're a mom that struggled with addiction. Maybe you're a single dad that struggled with your wife having postpartum depression. Maybe you're someone that struggled financially. Maybe you're someone that had a loss, or maybe you're someone that a different kind of traumatic birth. Your story can be vastly different from mine. It doesn't by any means have to be similar. I want to be able to share these stories. Like, I want to hear them. I want to be supportive of them. And I want to do that by telling your story. I believe that truly is the best way that I can support others, is to lift their voices and make them heard. So I am currently working on a documentary that will take quite a bit of time to produce, because again, it's something I do in my spare time after my son goes to sleep, or on the weekends when I do have that opportunity of a couple of hours to work on it. So it's going to take a long time, but I do want to hear your stories. I want to hear about your experience being a parent, and how society could have helped you to be a stronger parent, because at the end of the day, again, like I've said, supporting the parent is supporting the child, and I want to be able to share those stories.
And in the meantime, I know you're going to be working on this documentary. Although people don't have this just yet as a direct resource for them, because I know you're going to put a ton of time and effort into it. Is there anything that people can do right now for a resource, whether that be, like you said, go get a specific therapy, ask for help from a mom, a dad, a grandma? Are there any specific websites that you like to use currently that are helpful for you, whether that be having to Google something or whatever the case may be? What can people that don't have access to your documentary just yet, that can be a good resource for them?
Yeah, and so I'll say this. My documentary might not be published yet, but you have access to me. Please email me. Again, my email is on my website, emmalynreid.com. Send me an email and share your story with me. I do want to hear it. Like, truly, I want to hear your story. So please come to me as a first step and share it with me. But secondarily, I would say the most important thing is your mental health. Needing therapy is something that is so stigmatized, and it's just insane. But getting therapy when you're a mom or a dad is really important, because you need to take that time for yourself to figure out where you're at and what you need. Because sometimes, again, like I said, you don't know what you need until you find out. Like, I didn't know that I needed physical therapy until someone told me, and I just kept saying how much pain I was in and how abnormal this was, and I didn't know what to do. And like, I talked to my doctors, and they were like, "No, nothing strange happened during your delivery. We don't know what it is." To this day, we're still learning, what the actual root cause of all of that was. But resources, look into mental health therapy. There are a couple of great places that will offer free therapy if you can't afford it. Maria Drost Counseling is one of them, but they will work with any financial situation. They're great. There are several other organizations that can be helpful. I know Prince William and Princess Kate Middleton just recently went to Roca. They're another great organization that can be helpful. There are tons of resources that are available. I think that we need to take the stigma off of parents taking advantage of them, but prioritize, please, parents, prioritize your physical and mental health. Please do it. I know that we tend to put ourselves last a lot. When I started putting myself on an even level with taking care of my child, I realized that a healthier me is a better mom for him. And that's really what I wish that other parents would heal. Take care of yourselves. And I mean that.
I like that you are talking about putting yourself first in the sense of mental health, physical health, and not necessarily making your husband or your baby second. But if you aren't fully mentally, spiritually, physically well, how can you in return help others? And I like that you brought that up. If you don't have those things that make you happy, whether that's your job or whatever the case may be, taking time to see family, eventually you're just going to break down and be so aggravated that your marriage is going to fall apart, and your kid is going to see that, and your kid's not going to be happy either. So find a way to kind of balance everything out. Thank you for pointing that out. Is there any final comments that you would like to say before we wrap up this part 2 episode? Because I know you want to get back to hanging out with Ryler and Jacoby.
I guess what I would like to say, the expectations that society has for working parents, single parents, parents in general, they're just unfair and they're not accurate. So what I will say is just know that as long as you're doing your best at the end of the day, when you put your head down on the pillow, you're doing enough. A lot of people have different situations that other parents might not even understand. Everyone goes through something different in their parenting experience. Some parents experience loss. Some parents experience, a really difficult job that another parent might not have. Some parents are strapped financially. Some parents don't have family and friends to lean on. Some do, but they're toxic. Everybody has their own set of circumstances that are unique to them being a parent. So as long as you're doing your very best with the circumstances that you're given, I just want you to know that you're doing enough. And if you do have a story that you feel like you want to share, please, please, please email me. My email is emmalyn@emmalynreid.com. And I am looking for a handful of stories. I do plan to pick about 12 to include in this documentary. And if you would like to share yours with me, then you have someone here to listen because your story matters.
That was an excellent way to start to wrap up our 2-part podcast special. And I fully enjoyed catching up with you here on this podcast. Again, for those of you guys that are listening, Emma and I started this brand about close to 3 years ago, which is freaking crazy to even think about. And her and I, although we have branched off in different directions, I'm grateful that she helped me start this brand and this podcast. And ironically enough, we are still collaborating in a multitude of ways, whether that be work related or her being my maid of honor and just living life together. It's the year 2023. You have Ryler, you have your husband, you have all these things going on that are really good right now. What are some of your New Year's plans?
Oh, my plans in the new year, I have several priorities. So the first and foremost is to make sure that I'm soaking up every minute that I can with my son. It used to really, like I was saying before, it would stress me out when I had to stay home with my son for, a day off because I was so worried about what it would mean for my career. But now that I can actually, just stay home and have faith that, my career is safe, I am so happy. I look forward to when that happens. Okay, yes, it's stressful in the moment, but that gives me an entire day to soak up moments with my son and to really just take in all that time because you can't get that time back. In 2023, I am focused on being present for my family and at every opportunity. I am focused on really investing my time into the friendships and the people that I've surrounded myself with. And I am really invested in my passions. So I enjoy when I have time, now and again, designing a new pillow if I feel creatively inspired. I enjoy working on this show that I am doing that is going to be sharing community stories, even if they're not mom related. This show is going to be separate where I just share, local stories about local cafes and, different people that are, sharing different experiences of maybe traveling or whatever's going on in their life. And then finally, the documentary. So I am really focused on family, passions, and investing my time carefully in the things that I care about. The clients that I work with at my job are incredibly rewarding. So I just feel very blessed right now that in every aspect of my life, I am investing my time carefully and only in things that are going to propel us forward or feed our souls.
All right. And I like that I can confidently ask you what your positive pop is. And I don't have to explain what positive pop is because you and I both coined this term together some 3 years ago. As we wrap up this 2-part podcast special, Emma, shout out your social media, your website one last time, and end it with some positive pop.
Yeah, so my social media is at emmalyn.reid and my website is www.emmalynreid.com. And you can email me, Emmalyn@emmalynreid.com, again, if you want to share your story.